Hello and welcome to the program. I am your regular host Devendra Subedi, and today we'll be talking about cosmetic surgery. Sounds interesting for a country like Nepal. And what's the difference between plastic surgery that gives lives to millions of people and cosmetic surgery that also gives lives to a lot of millionaires? We'll talk about that. And to talk about these things and other issues of his visit, I'm proud to present to you Dr. Stephen B. Hopping, Professor of Surgery at George Washington University, USA. Professor, welcome to our show.
Devendraji, thank you very much. Happy to be here. Namaste.
Well, I must start with what brings you here for an
Sure.
American professor with such a 30 years of experience in this field and coming to visit Nepal or some special purpose?
Yes, briefly, I work in Washington, D.C. I've been doing this business of plastic cosmetic surgery for 30 years. And for most of those years, my nurses and colleagues are two Nepalese women who were born in Kathmandu. So I know the Nepalese community in Washington. I've come to love them and appreciate and respect them. And it's about time I came.
That's interesting. So lucky for us that you got some Nepali, friends that, help you to know about Nepal and that brought you Nepal. Now, what exactly are you doing with your group in Nepal in your maiden visit, isn't it?
Right. So this is my first visit. They obviously have been here before. They have many relatives here. This is our exploratory visit. We have a history. We have a foundation that has a history of reaching out to less fortunate countries and providing plastic and cosmetic surgery, but mostly plastic surgical services. Nicaragua, Guatemala. We have a foundation for this, and our patients contribute, and all of the America is very excited to sort of give back. And we love Nepal. Nepal is a neutral country. Everybody has tremendous respect for Nepal. We helped out with the earthquake, and we're here to see what we can do in some sort of cooperative effort with this country, which is growing and emerging so fast.
So you have been looking for certain areas, especially in plastic surgery, I guess in Nepal, not cosmetic surgery much, because they can afford a few, but the need is of a plastic surgery, isn't it? To my viewers, Dr. Hopping,
yes.
How would you describe and differentiate plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery?
I think that's a good question. It's very confusing. Plastic surgery traditionally has to do with reconstruction, injuries, burns, congenital deformities. And that's what we mostly do in countries like Nicaragua, Guatemala. And that's what we would hope that we might be able to do here. But cosmetic surgery, which is what I mostly do for the Washingtonians, is things like facelifts and liposuction and Brazilian butt lifts and those things that are purely people are paying out of their pocket. Yeah. It's purely elective.
So what comes in more handy for a country or a developing society like Nepal is obviously plastic surgery. Right. You give new life to people who have, let's say, cleft lips or let's say burns. We have plenty of cases like that. So that's also a way of giving a dignified life to people, isn't it? It's not just a luxury.
No, absolutely. And again, and back to the plastic cosmetic surgery. Cosmetic surgery is an extension of plastic surgery. So they really are not separate. They're really interrelated. And many times we're doing reconstructive surgery, but then we do plastic surgery to make the scars look better. So yes, it's about giving people back their dignity, making them feel more comfortable, making people's reaction to them more comfortable. So it's really important. So yes, here it would be more things like split lips, burns, scars. There's lots to be done.
So in other words, this is also a potential market for plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. Of course, you're not for that purpose. You're basically exploring this area. You're trying to. Right now, I think you're lecturing certain doctors who have been doing this in Nepal and trying to help them. How many hospitals have you visited in your few days of stay so far?
3 or 4, and we've been here 1 week. We visited 3 or 4 hospitals, and they're all very different. We were at one, which was the split lift burn hospital. Dr. Shankar Rai. Unfortunately, he wasn't here but we gave lectures. Myself and Dr. Lafarge, who's from Paris, part of our team. We lectured basically about cosmetic surgery, but these were techniques that you can use for some of these reconstructive cases too. So they were really interested. And I got to learn from the younger plastic surgeons what's happening here in Nepal. And cosmetic surgery is coming.
It's basically coming. It has to come because there are lots of people Do you recommend that to me as well, Dr. Murthy?
Well, generally I don't. No, I think you look fine. You have a nice shaped face.
Well,
you
the
know?
fear, the normal fear, doctor, I have been offered a few occasions that why you shouldn't be doing this or that, for example, my hair, why it shouldn't be growing it or transplanting it. The normal conception about plastic or cosmetic surgery for people like me is that it's not a long-term healthy thing. You might get infections or these sort of things. Is that a reality?
Well, I think that that's sort of the philosophy, don't mess with Mother Nature, And here in Nepal, you guys are very much into nature and natural and organic, But, the getting braces on the teeth that are crooked, that's cosmetic, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's starting to happen here more and more. No, not so often. But so let's talk about the hair. Yes, I was recently, one of the hospitals we were visiting, it's a great hospital. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it was just right outside of town. There's a medical school associated with it. But they're doing 3 to 5 hair transplants a week for men. I do a lot of hair transplants, men and women. Because this is a genetic thing that people can't help, and it does make them feel more confident. Not everybody needs it, but if it bothers them, it's something you can do, they can do. Interestingly, these hair transplant patients, for one of the regular patients to visit the hospital was 30 rupees. The hair transplant patients are paying $33,000. Okay?
$2,000.
And that money is going to help support the hospital. So financially, it's working hand in hand, and it's coming. I mean, this is they're very quiet. They don't market it. They just
but gradually, it's getting bigger by the day.
You know what? It can't be stopped. People are going to. I see the society here, especially the women. They're beautiful, and it's an important part of
There's
the
no
society.
reason why they shouldn't be more beautiful.
Why not?
Well, doctor, how equipped you saw Nepali hospitals that you visited, especially in plastic and cosmetic surgery? Were they equipped enough, or the qualified human resource?
It really varies. The burn hospital. I think there's. I was very impressed with what they were doing. We talked about the 2 young ladies who were recently burned with the acid burn were there. One of them is going to survive because it's a smaller burn. The other is probably not going to survive because it's greater than 50% burn. So I saw some equipment that perhaps they're doing great work, really, and they're doing great cleft palate work there. But they could use some further equipment, absolutely, like for hyperbaric oxygen chambers, things like this. So these are the kind of things that maybe we can help out from our end at the United States by getting this equipment or getting it here for them. And our foundation is looking into that now. Then we went to another hospital, which was, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of it. It was where the medical school, there's a medical school there. It was fantastic. I mean, they have a nursing school, they have medical school, they write papers, they know the literature, the doctors are young, they're enthusiastic. We lectured there, and it was fantastic. Then the next one we went to Manipur Hospital, where my two nurses are from. They were born in that hospital, and that hospital was very under-equipped.
Okay.
But they were doing 200 deliveries a month. They were taking care of the people. That's where I think, in the future, I would like to do some work.
So. We have had stories about how Turkey is earning a lot of foreign currency and inviting visitors through hair transplant, or how lots of ladies are visiting Brazil for lifting their bums and all this other stuff.
All right.
Do you see affordable and what should I say, a reasonable market developing here in Nepal for cosmetic surgery? Why can't Nepal, be a hub for cosmetic surgery? Do you see a future for this sort of stuff in Nepal?
I think it's very possible. Why? Because the overhead is low here, salaries are low here. It's already happening. United States, my patients from the United States who don't want to pay my prices, they go to Mexico, they go to Costa Rica, they go to India. We have people going from the United States to go to India and have heart transplants.
Okay.
That's not too far from you, So this is something that could definitely develop. Because if you have quality work, and again, you're able to offer it at a lesser price, people will come. Nepal's a little more difficult to get to than from people from America than Mexico or Costa Rica, though.
So you see a potential market there and your foundation could be the harbinger that can bring the change, or the mindset of the hospitals who can invest a bit more in this field. Is it doing that, or you have just identified certain hospitals where you're going to just do charity work or something like that?
Our goal is really to do more charity work. But that's where I think the need still is. We're not here to make money. We're here to sort of help. But I do think, based on our experience with the lectures and the young plastic surgeons we saw, there's a lot of teaching we could do, both in cosmetic and reconstructive plastic surgery, and that would be great. We love that.
So you're basically here for charity, and that's a reconstructive surgery sort of thing.
Right.
Have you identified certain areas where you're going to work in future?
Right now Nepal's in our crosshairs. Okay. That is our target. That's why we're here, to see what can happen. We've met with a number of very interesting hospitals to see where the fit is. Also, we have a foundation in general that can help, not just with us coming and doing some work. For instance, in Nicaragua, we did water programs. We did treatment for elderly. We did wheelchair programs. So any place where we can identify a need, that our foundation can be helpful.
So basically, how long, let's say you just, in our informal conversation, you said you'll be soon back in Nepal.
Right, we're going to be here a total of 10 days.
Okay, so you'll be back here soon with certain programs of your foundation.
Well, we're going to go back, explain to our board what we saw, where we think we have a fit, follow up with some of the connections we met here. But yeah, I think for sure we'll be back.
So your foundation, can you say, explain to my viewers about your foundation, what areas basically it works in? Just cosmetic surgery, or, as you said, reconstructive sort of surgery as well?
Right. No, the foundation, again, has been focused on just things that are real necessities: the cleft lip, the cleft palate, the burn patients, elderly patients, pediatric issues, trying to raise the level of women's issues in medicine. But again, we've branched out when we found other issues that we could help. We did some water projects in Nicaragua. We did wheelchairs. They had a lot of landmines exploding and people losing their limbs who needed wheelchairs from all ages. That was a really successful program we did. So we'll see what the need is. But right now it's going to be reconstructive.
Basically reconstructive sort of
and teaching.
Teaching also. You're trying to raise awareness among the hospitals and surgeons.
Sure, and if we get here and they want us to show people how to do rhinoplasties and facelifts, we'll be happy to do that.
Well, Dr. Hopping, you must have done plenty of surgeries in your life. If I can ask you, what exact psychological difference did you find between a patient whom you worked on, let's say, a burnt face or a cleft lip, before and after the surgery? What difference did you see in the patient psyche and its psychology?
Sure. Well, the cleft lips are a great example because, at least in Nicaragua, and I'm sure it's probably the same here, if your child has a cleft lip and you can't afford to have it taken care of, I mean, it's difficult to even send that child to school. So the kid doesn't go to school. Not only do they not eat well, but they're sort of a social outcast. And it has an effect on the entire family. So if you can correct that, not only does the child have a better life, the entire family is better for it. So it's a spin-off technique that has an impact on everybody: the parents, the grandparents, the brothers, the sisters. So that's the best examples. But the same is true every day. I'm doing cosmetic surgery, and I have a lot of young girls who come in. They're 18, 19, and they're in social media. They see everything. They know the Kim Kardashians and things like that, and they've got their big father's nose. And it doesn't matter what do you do if you give them medication, if you give them psychological care. Nothing's going to make them feel better until you make that nose better, and it changes their life
dramatically.
It does. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true.
It's true. That's the reality, and that's why
that's the reality of the society we're living in, right?
Exactly.
We put a high value on appearance, youth, beauty.
You have been lecturing in many countries in this subject for such a long time. You have also written a lot of books on this. How do you find your literature flaring in the market? People like to read on, especially cosmetic surgery. What your viewers' interest or the readers' interest in which particular area you have found?
I think in emerging worlds, and the other thing that's going to have a big effect on the people of Nepal is social media.
Exactly.
Because you're no longer just isolated here in Nepal. You know what's going on in the rest of the world. When I say the Kardashians, everybody knows who the Kardashians are. Before, you never heard of these people. You know, they've got like 2 billion followers or something like that on social media. So that's changing
and maybe
everything.
a few hundred Ks from Nepal as well.
That's changing everything. It also changes how people could, if you ever develop a center for cosmetic surgery here, that's how people will find out about you. You know, it's like this. You know how the information is now. News is the same way. But what people are interested in, yeah, they like to hear about the stories. You know, the wives of congresswomen, or who've had surgery, or the starlets in the United States, or people who've had too much surgery. You know, it's there all the time. So our goal is very much to. Cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery should not look plastic. It's got to look natural. It's got to look like God gave it to you.
Yeah. So that's what you have been doing, and that's what you have been preaching as well throughout in your.
That's what I've been
lectures.
teaching. That's what my writing's about.
Yeah.
It's got to look natural, because a lot of people have seen bad plastic surgery, bad hair transplants.
That's what I'm scared of.
No one, exactly. That's what everybody's afraid of. So, and that's unacceptable. Better have no hair than have a bad hair transplant.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Well, Dr. Hopping, we're running out of time, as I'm given the indication. Sure. Before we leave, and something about Nepal. This is your first visit to Nepal. You have been to a few areas. A few words about Nepal. How do you find this country?
I find it very optimistic. I see it optimistic. You know, you guys have gone through a lot of issues recently with the earthquake. You're on the mend, you're on the grow, but I see a really positive attitude, especially in the younger people. And I think you have a great future. It's a beautiful country, a beautiful natural resources, a beautiful spirit, and every Nicaraguan I've met, and I know a lot of them in the United States who have come from Nicaragua and they're living here. That's another problem you have. You've got this brain drain. You know, everybody who can is leaving Nicaragua. You've got to change that. You've got to make Nicaragua a place where people can be successful and can have a future.
That's one of the countries you have been working, like Nepal as well, right? Nicaragua.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm sorry. Yes, Nepal is the same. It's where you have a brain drain. You don't want to have that anymore. So the people here, the spirit, the way they have been brought up, their work ethic, it's quite marketable. So that's what I love about Nepal, and that's why we'll be back.
Well, Dr. Hopping, thank you so much for sparing your time amid your busy schedule in this short visit. We hope to see your foundation and your work here in future as well. Thank you so much for coming to our studios and talking about all this things.
Devindraji, thank you.
Well, that was Dr. Stephen B. Hopping, who is professor of surgery at George Washington University. And of course, we talked about what is plastic surgery and what is the need of a developing society like Nepal. Is it plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery? Sounds we need both, because that's a way of life. That's what the conversation finally ended in. Thank you so much for being with us. Until next time, from all of us here, goodbye and namaste.